Hey everyone, Jurassic Ninja here, and welcome to episode 3 of what I did call the Showdown in episode 2, but a fan of the channel came up with a better name called Jurassic Battles, and you know my name's Jurassic Ninja, and this is kind of like battles, so yeah, makes sense. Anywho, let's move on. So on this episode, we're going to be looking at the first released Spider-Man game on PS3, which is Spider-Man 3, which was released May 2007, less than a year on the PS3's life at this point, so it's a very early release. Let's also take note that the PlayStation 3 original logo is the exact same font as the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. And this is going to be compared against the Amazing Spider-Man 2 for the PlayStation 3, which was released April 2014. And before we begin, I just opened up my membership page here on YouTube, and there's lots of great perks. Please consider joining so I can make a lot more content for you. Well, anyways, on to the show. So we're going to be looking at graphics, the gameplay, the frame rate, reviews, and sound. Let's first discuss gameplay, and we're going to start with Spider-Man 3. I beat this game 3 times when it was first released, so I can say it's a really fun game. The game is an open world and full of skyscrapers, cars, civilians, and tons of villains. There's a lot to do in this game. The missions are non-linear, which means you can complete them in any order, and each one expands to different storylines. There's side stories, and when you complete enough, you unlock new missions for the main story, which is more related to the plot of the movie the game is based on. There's also a lot of small side missions like races, combat tours, and disarming bombs, as well as random attacks in the streets by city gangs, which the player can choose to stop. If a number of gang attacks in a specific district are stopped, the gang loses control of that district and attacks will no longer occur there. On Amazing Spider-Man 2, you also get an open world in Manhattan. But the missions are linear story with set objectives to progress through the story, but you can explore the city and do side missions in between. Back to Spidey 3. You can web swing through the city as fast and fluid as ever. It's extremely fun swinging from building to building, crawling up buildings and unlocking new web upgrades to traverse the city even faster. On Amazing Spidey 2, you also web swing through the city, but on Spider-Man 3, you swing just using R2, but on this game you use R2 to attach to a building on the right and L2 to attach to the building on the left. At first it felt very strange, but after a while I got used to it and I kind of enjoyed it. You also get to run up the sides of buildings, and then the web rush bullet time mechanic from the game's predecessors also returns and has been expanded, now allowing players to also do critical strikes, dodges, and rolls. Personally don't really like the web rush, as it's kind of like cheating, as you just kind of skyrocket through the city like way too fast, and I do use it obviously because, you know, getting around faster is better, but I don't know, it just feels kind of like cheating. That's just me though. From time to time I'm going to refer to Spider-Man 3 as S3 and the Amazing Spider-Man 2 as S2, because I don't feel like saying Spider-Man a million times, and I'm still going to say it a million times, but a million less times now. In S3, remember Spider-Man 3, you do get to play as New Goblin and the Black Spidey suit. On S2, Amazing Spider-Man 2, you get way more choices, 18 different Spider-Man suits, which is an awesome addition. The combat in S3 is fun, fluid, and engaging. You get counters, tons of combos that mix with melee and your webbing. It is extremely satisfying and never really feels dull. In S2, you get everything that S3 has, but the combat is pretty much a one-to-one copy of the combat from the Batman Arkham series. Well, besides all the web stuff, of course. You counter and attack just like Batman. This is really not a bad thing though, as I really rather enjoyed the combat in the Batman Arkham series. It does make attacking a bit too easy in my opinion though. So who wins the gameplay of the Jurassic battle? Well, for me it's Spider-Man 3, and here's why. Spider-Man 3, I prefer the story and overall gameplay. I enjoyed the game way more. But in Amazing Spider-Man 2, I prefer the combat and slightly enjoyed the web swinging more, so I'd say S3 has a lot more going for it. I did forget to mention Amazing Spider-Man 2 is compatible with PlayStation Move, and if that's for you, then more power to you, but it's not for me, so yeah. Please do consider hitting that like button because it's gonna help this channel a lot, like way more than you know. Please hit the like button. Let's go ahead and discuss the frame rate now, and this is going to be quick. In S3, you get 30 frames with a ton of dips, some very low dips too, and when playing the game you can really feel the slowdowns. This is an early PS3 game, and PS3 was notorious for being difficult to develop for, so I blame it on that. In S2, you get 30 frames with a very low dips too, but with a lot, and I mean a lot of screen tearing. It's obvious while playing, and it did annoy me. Not sure if I should include screen tearing within the frame rate battle, but I did. And with that being said, it's gonna be a tie because the frame rate in Amazing Spider-Man 2 is better than Spider-Man 3's frame rate, but that screen tearing just really bugs me. Now let's move on to the graphics. Looking at the two Spider-Mans, I have to say that this one looks way better. This one has a weird shaped head, but I do love the honeycomb detail on the suit. The mip mapping is also better on the Amazing Spider-Man 2. The city is better on Amazing Spider-Man 2. There is more variations, where on Spider-Man 3 you mostly get big windowed buildings. Not bad looking though. The texture detail is better here too. To me, Spider-Man 3 looks like one of those PS2 games that got re-released on the PlayStation 3, like God of War 1 or 2. As you can see, the light shines on this Spidey a lot better. It looks really good. The other is pretty bland looking. I do think Spider-Man 3 has better aliasing. There is a lot more jaggies on the buildings over here. Also, S3 has a ton more traffic on the streets, something that fits New York perfectly. I also prefer the swinging animations from Spider-Man on S2. I like how he is closer to the camera and not so far away like on S3. It looks like he's just swinging to a dead city, whereas on Spider-Man 3, it's a busy town, as it should be. Not to mention the terrible screen tearing. I can't remember if I said this in the gameplay, and I'm kind of too lazy to scroll up and look. But I prefer Spider-Man 3's game way more. But Amazing Spider-Man 2 does look a lot better in my opinion. But the screen tearing sucks! At the end of the day though, Amazing Spider-Man 2 wins this one. The graphics one. Let's dip into some reviews now and see who wins that. I'm going to use Metacritic for these. On S3, it got a 60 out of 100, which is a D, and not too good. Game Trailers didn't enjoy the graphics and thought the camera wasn't very good, and Cheat Code Central thought the AI was lacking. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 did worse, only by 3 points on the critics side, but a bit worse on the users' opinions. CD Action feels that this game was made quickly and cheaply, while Real FG Fan loved it and is pretty upset for the negative reviews. Not to mention that Spider-Man 3 had 33 critic reviews while this one only had 4. No one wanted to play the PS3 version when there was a PS4 one out. So I gotta say, on the review side, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 did score a little bit worse. Spider-Man 3 wins this round. I kinda forgot to mention this. Spider-Man 3 requires a 2.6 GB install, and Amazing Spider-Man 2 boots right up and only needing 5 MB. So that's a huge bonus right there. On to the last topic, sound. As far as I can tell, S3 doesn't offer any sort of Dolby. I can't see the logo on the box, and I can't find anything online about it. S2 offers some sort of Dolby, as there's that logo right there on the box. In Spider-Man 3, the city sounds alive. You hear cars, people, more cars, and a lot more cars. You hear the webbing shoots from building to building, and all that just sounds so great. In Amazing Spider-Man 2, you hear all that also, but it does sound a lot more crisp, and you also get that awesome wind sound as Spidey speeds through the city. Spider-Man 3, they brought in all the actors from the film to voice their characters, and it is great as the acting is top-notch in this game.
This may sting a little. Wow, it worked.
Very funny. Well, if you think I'm gonna go easier on you just because you saved my life, you're wrong.
Oh, and Bruce Campbell, of course.
Hi gang, I'm Bruce Campbell. I'm playing the narrator of the Spider-Man 3 game.
In Amazing Spider-Man 2, no one was brought back to voice their characters. All new cast.
Aunt May, the truth is, I'm glad he's dead. I know that's wrong.
You're relieved a bad man can't hurt anyone else. That's different. You're glad a murderer was brought to justice. There's nothing wrong with that.
Also, the acting's not the greatest either. It's not terrible, but it's not up to Spider-Man 3's caliber. The winner of the sound goes to Spider-Man 3, because the acting is better and the sound effects and background sounds all sound fantastic. It's true that Amazing Spider-Man 2's sound effects do sound better, but acting is a huge part of a game, and Spider-Man 3 just does it better. So the winner of this Jurassic battle is Spider-Man 3. Here's the thing. I've beat Spider-Man 3, I think 3 times, and I really enjoyed it every single time. And then I bought the Amazing Spider-Man 2 originally at launch for the PlayStation 4, and I played it probably for like 3 hours. For the first hour and a half, I actually had a lot of fun, but after a while, it just got boring. and I just moved on and never looked back. I understand there's a lot of fans out there for this game, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but you're probably wrong. Spider-Man 3 is a better game. Amazing Spider-Man 2 looks better, a lot better, but Spider-Man 3 is just more fun. Well, that's all I have for you today, and if you disagree with me, I can't wait to read some comments in the section below describing why I'm wrong. Until next time, take it easy. Have a good day.